Plot twist. Still alive!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Plot Twist, Still Alive! I am your hostess with the mostest, three-time cancer survivor and chaos coordinator, Crystal with a K. Oh my gosh, you guys are back again? I fucking love you. Thank you for being loyal bitches, okay? So I think we're technically on episode 3, and double numbers are always lucky numbers. Every guest this month is a cancer survivor because it's National Cancer Survivor Month. And there are all types of cancers aside from just breast cancer. This woman was actually a mutual friend of mine, and I have only bad bitches as friends. So I knew for a fact that this chick had to be part of the bad bitch club too. And she's a cancer survivor. Everybody help me welcome Weslea, aka Wesley, her government name. Everybody say hi, Wesley. Wesley, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And you are just beautiful, Queen. I mean, as soon as you
thank
jumped on, I was like, whoa, who's this hottie?
But same, I had to match your energy, so I had to go get home and put my face on.
Bag of lies, baby, all the time. Or I look like I'm homeless and live under a bridge and ask people riddles. So it's one or the other.
I've got those two looks.
I always like people to tell me what their life was like before cancer. Tell me a little bit about your life before you were diagnosed.
I didn't have a super crazy childhood. I wasn't like a sickly kid, but I did get mono one time and stayed at like 5th grade. I think I was home half the year with mono and then had chronic fatigue from there. It's interesting because the last 10 years of my life, I did have a lot of autoimmune. And then after I was diagnosed, the doctor was like, hey, I don't think that was autoimmune. I think that was cancer. So that was a little of a plot twist for me. Like, what the heck? I've been dealing with all these things. But before cancer, I was in my second marriage because I didn't do it right the first time at all. And
preaching to the choir, sister.
I mean, it takes practice. Exactly. So second marriage, things were going relatively well. I had just done a transition from working in real estate for the last decade to working in a facial plastic surgery practice. 6 months in, I was at my annual and I'd had lymph nodes that were swollen for a year and a half. And I was at my gyno and silly hand on the door. Hey, before I leave, can you just check these out? So she comes over, she feels my neck. She's like, I don't love them, but it's probably nothing, which I think is these are words that every survivor that I've talked to has heard at some point. Right.
And now it's terrifying to hear from here moving forward. Like, I can't take that.
Nope.
Ever.
Don't want to hear it. I would rather have maybe it's something.
Hey, this is something.
That. Exactly. Yeah. So she sends me off for an ultrasound. This is right before Thanksgiving. Of course, everybody's trying to meet their deductible and the rush is on to get into a doctor. So I have to wait longer. I have to wait longer for test results because of the holiday. So they send me back my results as abnormal. We need to do more. So then they schedule a CT scan and then that's abnormal. And that comes back at the same time as my mammogram, which comes back as abnormal. So it was terrifying. And they went straight to breast cancer. More than anyone how scary those words are. They did a biopsy, wasn't breast cancer. I was in Dallas for work. It was December 15th. 2023, a rainy Friday. My husband had been there with me. He had to leave to drive a U-Haul back from Dallas to Austin with an exam chair. We just talked to my doctor. They just said, you're not going to hear anything till Monday. That was a lie. So I am literally sitting on the toilet. I am peeing when my doctor calls. And I was like, well, I can't wait till I'm done. I have to answer this. So mid-flow, pick up the phone and I am peeing and hearing I have cancer at the same time. So it's this very surreal moment in a stall of a bathroom that I, to this day, cannot walk into that stall. I have to use any other stall but that stall. And the physician that I work for walks in. Well, I didn't wash my hands. So yeah, if you're thinking that, I did not think to wash my hands, but I handed the phone to her and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just hand it to her and I let her doctor brain take over any words I'm hearing about lymphoma and indolent and they don't know the stage and I have no idea what any of these words mean. So that was a Friday. Monday, I was sitting in Texas Oncology getting a PET scan scheduled. My first PET scan was the day after Christmas in 2023. So that meant Christmas was not Christmas. If you have never had a PET scan, one, I'm very thankful for you, but two, you don't understand that there's prep that goes into it and you can't eat the same amount of food that you would normally eat. You can't eat vegetables, starchy food, sweets. So my Christmas consisted of high protein and that's it diet. It was already a weird Christmas because cancer and Christmas don't typically go hand in hand. But that came back a few days later and I found out I had stage 3B lymphoma. And lymphoma is different than other cancers. So stage 3 just meant it was above my diaphragm and below my diaphragm. It had not made it into my bones. So I scheduled a second opinion with MD Anderson, and within a month, I was sitting in a chemo chair.
Did you have any history in your family at all of cancer or anybody that was close to you that had been diagnosed with lymphoma or any other type of cancer?
Yes, both grandfathers had different types of cancer. One had prostate. My maternal grandfather had prostate cancer, which evidently makes you a higher risk for breast cancer. And then my paternal grandfather had lung cancer. And my mom's sister, my aunt, has lymphoma, but she doesn't have the same lymphoma as I have. She has a different one, and it's not a familial relation, which is odd. They have no idea what caused it. I mean, I've seen the ads that are like, if your dad used Roundup in the 80s, you might be in for this class action suit. No idea. I have no idea.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
If you drank Sunny Delight as a kid, you have cancer.
Yeah. Did you drink chocolate milk? Might have cancer. That's the scary thing. I think we're living in this age where younger and younger people are getting diagnosed. And if I hadn't advocated for my health, I have no idea what would have happened. I had a friend who had the same cancer as I had, and his progressed to stage 4 and he lost his battle. And every survivor has lost someone, and there's no rhyme or reason to why some people respond well to treatment and survive and why others don't and don't make it. Yes, there's a history of cancer in my family, but nobody had the cancer I had.
Got it. And how old were you when you were getting tested?
I was 42.
Which is still young.
Yes.
I'm
I was
40.
one of the youngest people, and for 3 times, how old were you when you got diagnosed?
So yeah, a little backstory on me. I was initially almost 3 years old and had acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. So I did have a type of lymphoma. From what I understand, for children, you have a high rate of survival, whereas when elderly people get this type of lymphoma, a lot of times it can be more fatal. So I started chemo and radiation right away. This was 89, 2 years on and off of treatment. I ended up doing chemo and losing my hair twice between those ages. Had a Redskins cap on because my dad likes shitty football teams. Those are my first memories, honestly, in the hospital. We did do an episode. That's my second episode. It's actually called Nightmare on Mom Street. I'm not going to ruin the ending, but I can't imagine as a parent watching my kid be sick. So then the radiation that I received as a kid actually caused breast cancer 30 years later. But plot twist, I followed up with an oncologist until I was about 23 years old, and they cleared me and said, you have just as much risk as anybody else to have cancer again. And I got it at 32. And the surgeon I met the day of, I call him a god among men. He walked in and he had this medical article that was evidence-based. And he was like, you had a 36% chance of getting breast cancer. And every year past like 30 years, your percentages go up because your entire chest was radiated. So,
oh my gosh.
And now I've heard that story from a multitude of people that have had some sort of childhood cancer and have had radiation to their chest area. And most women do end up with breast cancer. That's a third. You have a 36% chance, so 1 in 3 people get breast cancer. And so I ended up with it. And then double mastectomies, chemo, it doesn't necessarily remove every single thing. We're talking cellular level. So 2 years ago, about 5 years after, which is your golden year with cancer, I found more breast tissue when I was going in for a simple revision. And again, amazing plastic surgeon, worked with breast cancer patients all the time. So he was very up on his shit. And he's like, no, we need to check this out. And I was re-diagnosed with DCIS. So no chemo or radiation that time. I'm ineligible for radiation the rest of my life. Unfortunately for me, I can't picture life without seeing it again. But I think that's for my mental well-being. Like I have to just accept that if it happens again, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to stop it.
Well, and I think it's interesting because I will never look at my health the same again. And I'm sure this has been a lifelong journey for you, having experienced cancer at such a young age. But for me, every time I go to the doctor, I have anxiety now. And is that the same for you?
Absolutely. Scanxiety, every time I find something wrong, every time I get sick, a cough that like lingers too long or a swollen lymph node, something like that, I will overthink the shit out of it. If my breast hurts one day, I'm like, oh my God, is it back? But I have gotten better as time has gone on, even with re-diagnosis, with just kind of being like, fuck it. I literally have this much control and I can't let that rob me of more time because I already
No.
have a ticking clock, as we all do.
Right.
You're hyper aware now because you've been
Exactly.
diagnosed with cancer.
For better or for
So
worse. Some days it's for better, and other days it's hard not to hyperfixate on the fact that our days are numbered.
I think that you're allowed to feel both, though. Like, it would be so unrealistic to expect people not to have anxiety or depression or ever feel down or sad about this. There are very few people
100%.
that get out of this without any mental scars as well, which I think is one of the harder things. It's not the physical aspect of that. I want to go into that with you a little bit, but I want to go back to when you were starting your initial
Yeah.
journey and also touch base on you losing your friend as well, because yes, I have went through that. It's one thing to know somebody who dies of cancer, and that's hard enough. It's another thing to have somebody die of the exact same cancer that you have
Yeah.
and not take it personal, have guilt, have all of the feelings with it. So I definitely want to go a little more into that. But first, let's go back to what you were talking about with your Christmas. So you
Yeah.
had to tell your husband, obviously,
Which
and
was also crazy because he's now driving in a torrential downpour in a U-Haul from Dallas back to Austin. And I have his truck and I'm supposed to drive a couple hours later in rush hour traffic from Dallas to Austin. And I didn't feel equipped to drive for one, but here I had to. So I hesitated to call him. My dad had been diagnosed with dementia and a degenerative disease at the time. So my first phone call was to my parents. And that was hard because the dementia made my dad a lot younger mentally. And so when I told him, he wept. I expected them to be emotional. I didn't expect the intensity of the emotions. I called my best friend and she had booked a flight within like 10 minutes of me talking to her to come down and be with me. And I called Patrick's best friend and said, what do I do? Like, should I call him? And he's like, not just yes, fuck yes, call him right now. Like
your husband is Patrick.
yes, Patrick is my husband.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I thought everyone knew that. Sorry. I'm just
I mean, why wouldn't
assuming.
they? Patrick is a cool ass dude. Like, why wouldn't
He
everyone know
really
him?
is. Everyone should. But yeah, so he's like, no, you have to call Patrick. You have to call him. I don't care if he's driving. So I call Patrick, and what a fucking awkward phone call to make to your husband. Like, hey, so how's the drive? I have cancer. Drive safe. What do you say? And
Love you, bye.
yeah, okay, I'll talk to you in a while. Yeah, I'll drive safe too. Yeah, I know, I still have to drive. I don't even really remember that conversation other than he's like, please, if you have to pull over, I don't care if it takes you 6 hours to get home, just drive what you can. As many stops as you need to make, you make them. So I stopped at George's in Waco and had a margarita and sat there for 2 hours, like thinking like, what am I supposed to do with cancer? And also was in major denial, like maybe the test results were mixed up. This is obviously not my test result. I'm going to find out on Monday this was all a bad dream. We'll be able to laugh about it then. Like, it's fine. I'm fine. I'll be okay. And so denial was strong, which is so weird because I've heard other people talk about denial and I didn't think that I would have it. I had it. Bad.
Baby, it's the grief process starting. That's what's crazy is you don't realize that is exactly what's happening. Your life is never going to be the same. And the grieving process, it starts almost in conjunction with you going into the cancer tunnel. And you don't realize it till you're outside of it looking back.
Yeah.
Again, I've talked to a lot of survivors. I worked for a breast cancer nonprofit for a good amount of time. And the things that you're saying are so similar to so many people. It took me stepping outside of it years later and going, holy shit, like I was grieving. I was grieving my life changing. Even if I thought my life sucked in that moment, like grieving that life was never going to be the same. I couldn't just live la-di-da, like everything's fine. And now the ticking clock and living with that has a lot of positive things it can do, but there's a lot of negative aspects and difficult emotional hurdles once you know that. So,
yeah. I didn't want to tell anybody. I went through this weird phase where I was like, okay, I'm just going to tell family, but I'm going to just keep this super private, which I think was also part of the denial thing. So I told very close friends. That was a weird time too, because I was numb. I think I'd had emotions on and off, but I was also so numb to this diagnosis and this idea that I had cancer because I couldn't really reconcile this person that I thought I was with this diagnosis that looked and felt so outside of what I pictured myself to be. And people would cry when you would tell them, and then they'd apologize. And I remember telling them, like, no, please, like, I don't know how to feel about this. How are you supposed to know how to feel about it? I've had a couple days to sit with it. You just found out. Feel your feelings. But it is interesting because I think the second you find out you have cancer and somebody finds out that you have cancer, they treat you with kid gloves. So we had some friends that ended up splitting up and going through a divorce during this time, and they didn't tell us for the longest time. And when I asked them about it, they're like, you have enough on your plate. And I was like, no, I want to hear your stuff. I can't just deal with what's on my plate. This is boring. Let me out.
Please fucking distract me from my cancer for a little while.
Please.
Please.
Chemo fucking
me your
sucks.
shit.
Tell me something good.
I had the same thing. I had a lot of friends do that. They were going through some really hard shit. And I'm like, I'm still your fucking friend. I'm your friend with
Yes.
cancer, but my cancer doesn't trump your hard day or your hard shit.
No.
Like, it's the hard thing because it is a trump card for most people. So they're like, I can't tell them about the divorce or that my uncle died or that
No.
their kid broke their toe. But yeah, it's weird. It's such a weird, conflicting thing.
It is. It's so strange. Also, leave it to me. I'm a very awkward individual. Sometimes you put me in a crowd and it either goes really well or I make it awkward and it happens really quick. I don't do things without humor. I have to have humor. I deal and I cope with humor. And so I learned really early on that people don't want to laugh at your cancer jokes. Apparently they find it awkward. I don't know. So that was fun. Mostly for me, not for them.
I did that all the time. And I would joke all the time about being bald and looking like a testicle. And people are like, are we supposed to, I did get dark with it. I would joke about dying all the time. I'd be like, oh, at least it's not dying of cancer. And I had a friend tell me, and this was a couple years later, a best friend, and she had lost several people to cancer. And she's like, Crystal, the reason that that's hard for me to hear is because I don't want to think about you dying. And I know that is a way you deal with it, but it's hard for me to hear.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized I'm allowed to make these with my cancer people, but I can't do it with people that love me and my friends because they are dealing with this too. And so it really made me
And differently.
rethink. Yeah, for sure. So it's good to know that you had support. Your friend is a ride or die because they were flying within minutes coming to be with you. And
I had tremendous support. I'm very fortunate.
so what were the steps? Like once you told everybody and you knew you had lymphoma, you said you started chemo within, did you say a month? It took a month?
It took a month because I got a second opinion. I really wanted to go to MD Anderson since it's in Houston. I'm early 40s. I want to have a long life. If anything that I can do to get past this, no offense, if homeopathic medicine is your journey, that's your journey. My journey is let's kick this shit out as quickly as possible and get back on the road to living the life that I want to live. Patrick and I got married in 2016. I found out in 2023. I didn't feel like I'd been married that long. Didn't want to give that up. I had no idea how much things would change in our marriage. There were moments of suck, but I think it was mostly suck for me. He really was caring during it all, but so much changes when you go through treatment. It's so cringy and I'm going to say it anyway, but I was so blessed. And some people put like #blessed online and I'm like, oh, are you blessed? That's great for you. But like, I really was.
Bitch, you're allowed to say that. You had cancer. So you're also allowed to say bless. #blessed with cancer. So here's the asterisk next to it.
There's a disclaimer after it, like blessed, and they also sucked a little. I think what it did for me is it helped me align with my true north. And God, I'm going to say one cringy thing after another today.
I can't wait. That's where I live, baby. Let's do it.
But like, it helped me. Like, I realized what's bullshit and what I'm not going to stand for. My tolerance for mean people, for things that don't serve me, my patience is gone. I got life to live. You going to get in the way of that? Okay, bye. Get the fuck out of the way. And I think it also just put clearly for both Patrick and I, again, that's my husband, for those of you that just joined.
That's my husband. He's great.
I think it helped us realize that like we really wanted to be together and we were going to fight for that. Whatever we had to do for my health, we were going to do because this wasn't going to be an expiration date for us if we could help it.
Sorry, I'm like, I love that so much for you. I love hearing that. It's not
Cringy,
cheesy.
but
No,
It
it's
feels
not.
cheesy, but I mean, but we didn't know what that meant in the moment. There were some struggle bus moments, and chemo gets things real for sure.
So I did it both ways. I did it as a single mom, which was hard as fuck. Don't
Oh
get me wrong.
God.
But I had moments where when I hit my hole and like got depressed or sad, I had a lot of people helping me with the kids. So it was like, okay, I can have a fucking pity party with nobody around. My
Yeah.
husband, like most husbands, he wants to fix shit. So the minute that I got diagnosed this next time, and I'm married and we'd been married 6 months, we had a baby and he was 8 months old. We did it all
Oh,
in order. First comes loves, then a baby, and then maybe you get married, whatever. Very traditional family. He just wanted to fix everything. But he also is so black and white about things. And he's just an emotional, steady person. So when I was hitting really, really low points and used to being able to just crawl into bed and be left the fuck alone, he's like, why don't you want to get up, babe? Like, do you want to come and do this? Or what can I do? And I'm like, nothing. You
yeah.
can't do anything. I have fucking cancer. And I would freak out and it would suck because I never let anyone see that before. And now he's my husband. He lives with me. He had to see it.
Yeah.
And I felt like a burden. And I felt like I was down and I was sad and everyone in the family had to deal with me being down and sad. And it sucks. It sucks to feel like that, vulnerable, I guess. I'm not used to doing that with anybody. So
I agree with that. And to add on to that, I'm horrible at asking for help. Nope, I'll help you. You don't help me. That's not how this works. I'm the helper. You're not. I win. But I got to a point where they didn't want me to go to the grocery store. They didn't want me in crowds. They didn't want me doing all this stuff. So I had to lean into Patrick went to the grocery store for me, which was super sweet. Like for the first couple of weeks of him going to the grocery store, it's like, where is this? What is this? I've never heard of this. What is this vegetable? Is this it? Nope, that is a banana. Can we go back to the vegetables? It was like,
fucking FaceTime me. Let me see where you're at.
just turn the camera around. Let me see what aisle are you on? Also, I was like, hey, download the HEB app, please, because you can just put it in there and it'll tell you exactly where it is. There's like a little map in there that'll take you to the thing. He was great. It was wonderful. My friends showed up. My friends like all got together and got me a house cleaner. I had a good support system. My dad was declining and I couldn't go visit him, and that stunk because he really couldn't come here either. I would FaceTime him all the time and talk to him all the time. And I mean, I think I made the most of it. The weird thing for me in the first couple of weeks, I'm like wrapping my head around it. So my first chemo was on my maternal grandmother's, what would have been her birthday. And she and I were like tight. She was one of my soulmate people. Like my whole childhood was so close to her over any other adult. And I wore one of her rings and I sat there and I kind of like talking to her. And then they gave me the Benadryl, and you've had that infusion, like mainline the Benadryl. And I started seeing sounds and like hearing colors, and felt like I could hear people whispering across the room. So I'm like hallucinating and I feel like I can hear my grandma talking to me. And I freaked out. Like freaked out. So the nurse comes over. She's like, "Girl, you're high on Benadryl. You're gonna be fine. It's like this happens all the time." And people don't understand what that's like. The stuff they give you is just it makes you weird.
Do you still have it? I don't know if you do or not, but my biggest thing that bothered me and still does is every time they would flush. Did you get a port?
I did. Yep. I had this guy. Yep.
Yeah. So every time they'd flush it, you taste the saline automatically, which is good.
That's
because
not everybody does it though.
What?
No, I asked the nurse and she said not everybody can smell it and taste it.
I still, like, if I have to go, like,
Yep.
when I went to have my baby, when I got re-diagnosed, every time they put anything in me, like saline, I
Yes.
immediately want to throw up because I just connect it in my head with how shitty chemo made me feel. And so it's like my memory remembers that taste and feeling. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
even if
I
it's
can
just
recall
something
it
easy.
here
Yeah.
right now.
I didn't realize not everybody did that. I guess
No,
that
not
makes
everybody
sense.
does it. But
Well, I
yes,
didn't have Benadryl delusions. I wish. That would have been fucking cool.
Did they give you Benadryl?
Yes. And especially with my
I
second type of chemo, because I ended up having a horrible reaction to the chemo.
really.
But I just kept, it was mostly just skin irritation. Plot twist. I ended up getting some blood clots. So it would
God.
shoot up into my face and in my arm, and it would eventually dissipate, but it would make my face just break out. It looked like I had
Ugh.
acne all across my cheeks, and my arm would get all red and swollen. So, but I'm fine.
Well, I'm allergic to the tape they use to attach your port, the tubes, the needles into your port. Anything that they put on me, my skin would break out in hives and the hives would start to spread. And they'd be like, hey, that's not normal. I'm like, yeah, that's just what happens when you put tape on me. Sorry.
The shit you find out once you're diagnosed with
Yes.
cancer. It's not just that. It's like all the other shit that just makes you more uncomfortable.
Well,
You know,
and the
like,
things they don't tell you, like the fact that, chemo ruins every skin cell in your body. You know what has
every
skin?
cell.
Your vagina. And it
Right.
ruins those cells too.
Yeah, so let's get into that. Just
Yeah.
jump right into your vagina. So
Let's go.
I love this. People are going to love this episode. So you started chemo. How many months did you have to do chemo? Was it one type? And what were the major side effects for you?
So I did 6 months of chemo. It was only one type of chemo, and they paired it with immunotherapy. The first day I would do chemo and immunotherapy, and the second day I would do just chemo. So the second day was real short. They stayed the same type of chemo the whole time, and I was really fortunate that I didn't have reactions to the immunotherapy, because I guess that's where people really have allergic reactions as well. And I'm about to start my last round of maintenance treatment next week, which is just immunotherapy. I've been in some sort of treatment for the last 2.5 years. Chemo made me sick. I would barf nonstop it would start like 2 days after and last for about 2 to 3 days. It made my skin crawl. I don't know if you can relate, but it made my skin just hurt. Like I would wake up and I'd feel like my skin was just buzzing. And if even like the feel of the shower on me it just gives me the chills to think about now.
Yeah, I definitely had that. My taste buds changed. Everything tasted
Yes.
metally or metallic.
Metallic. Yes.
I would do shots, but I would do them once a week to keep my white blood cell count up. Back then, they didn't have like the cool pumps around. I would get the shot and it makes your big bones ache. I don't know if you had that too.
I did
But
not.
okay, so white blood cells are made in your larger bones. Your large arm and leg bones would ache, your pelvis would ache. It felt like you got hit by a train. But the skin thing I get, and I'd also get like this fire headache. It's not like anything I could
Yes.
explain, but like
The
fire
headaches
in
were
my head.
intense. And it would be
Yes.
like, like if you get like a sinus headache, it kind of centers in one area. And if you have a tension headache, no, this was like the entire
Everything.
head is just miserable. I could sleep, but it was fitful. I didn't feel like I could get a good night's sleep when I was coming off the chemo. It wrecked my guts. So I said I barfed a lot, but anything that went into my stomach it came out somewhere. It didn't matter if it was top or bottom, it would come out. The only things that tasted good were like watermelon and oranges.
I did pineapple. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was the only thing. But I had to eat it first thing in the morning. Otherwise, I wasn't eating. And
Yeah.
with me, I got 1 week on, 1 week off with Red Devil because it's just that caustic. The second week, I still felt like shit, but that's when I could actually eat. So I would fucking fluctuate 10 pounds because I'd eat like chicken wings and a burger and fries, everything I could get down. And the next week, I'd be eating barely pineapple in the morning, maybe some sort of like broth. Even the textures of shit bothered me, and I just would
Yes.
rather not, because I don't do well with nausea. I can take anything else. If I feel nauseous, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing shit.
Yeah, the nausea was intense. I wasn't prepared for the number of things they can give you for nausea and the different mechanisms through which it can be delivered. But they have a bunch of different ways to get rid of nausea, and I think I've taken them all. But
They didn't work though, did they?
some of them would, but it would be like if it worked, it might work for a hot minute. It didn't
Yeah.
linger. The nausea lingered, not the medicine.
Right. Yeah. I was told that it wouldn't impact me that much. And when I had all of the meds for nausea, it took the edge off. So I wouldn't actually throw up, but I felt nauseous the whole time. So it depends on the person. I've seen some people
does.
do really well, but it sounds like your experience was kind of similar. Like you could get
Yeah.
a little relief, but not for very long.
I didn't lose my hair. So the chemo I was on had a 5% chance of losing hair. So I got a lot of, you don't look like you're sick. And which is like, really, what am I supposed to look like? Do you need me to shave my head and wear like a little scarf on my head? Is that what I need to look like for you?
Yeah, I've heard that. I know everyone's coming from a good place, but when you're in the midst of the throes of fucking cancer and chemo and feeling like shit and literally walking through hell, some people say the most off the wall shit to you and it's coming from a good place, but to tell someone you don't look sick or you don't look like you
Yeah.
have cancer, it's such a slap in the face when you're enduring it at that moment.
It was.
You're not struggling. It's not that bad. Seems fine.
Also, this was a fun little plot twist for me. I gained weight because of all the steroids. So here I was, heavier than usual, with all my hair, and everybody's like, "Huh? I thought people got skinny on cancer." No one said that, but I ended up living in my husband's shirts and leggings because my clothes didn't fit. And that's a mind fuck too. Your body feels horrible. You're gaining weight, barfing and gaining weight. I'm like, what is this? This is
You would think the
miserable.
one perk would be losing a little bit of weight, right?
Yeah, right. Like this was
If
supposed
I'm
to be
gonna
my
have
diet.
cancer,
What the
fuck.
heck? But yeah, those jokes don't go over with people either, by the way. I thought I was supposed to lose weight and I can't even do that right. Okay, well, yeah, they don't like those.
I like them. It's fine. And don't worry, my 72 listeners like them too.
It'll be 82 when I'm done with you.
Hell yeah, queen, go off. We got to help each other. In other words, though, it was a struggle. It was
It was
rough.
a struggle.
Okay, I just had to do a quick change because I like to be dramatic and my earphones stopped working. But plot twist, bitch, we're back. So, Weslea, aka Wesley, what was your plot twist during all of this?
I think the weird thing is we survivors, not the people like you and I think we're pretty open books, but some people will tell you like, oh, this is what I experienced, but it's a very edited version of what they experienced. And so there were a lot of things that started happening that the doctors didn't talk to me about, other people didn't talk to me about. And my husband and I are very close. Physically, we're very close. We spend some time together, and that changed. I couldn't. It hurt. Everything was different. And the doctor, he's a male. He's great. I love my oncologist, but that was not in his wheelhouse. So I got a referral out of that office real quick when I brought that up inside of those four walls. It took months of me going to different doctors for the things that were going on. I was getting chronic UTIs, which is miserable, which I still do. And then finally, all this time later, I go see a urologist. He's like, oh yeah, that's part of your immunotherapy that can cause those. Well, hey, 14 rounds of meds later, I'm glad to know that this is a side effect. Like it would have been helpful to know that because when I get a UTI, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm clean. What the heck? And they're painful. That on top of the intimacy issues that happened as a result of everything changing, it was miserable. And it's nice to be on the other side of that, but it literally took until about 12 weeks ago to get that all figured out. And it took going from my gynecologist to the specialist that he referred to me to finally to another specialist and different meds and different this and different that. It took over a year to figure out what was going on because this is the soapbox I will die on. People don't care about women's health. Not all people. Medicine doesn't care about women's health, and they do not study women's health post-cancer. So it's like, well, there's a lot of women and there's a lot of us who have had cancer and that number is growing and growing and growing. So let's try to study that a little bit so that when somebody like me or you come into an office and we say, hey, the relationship I used to have with my husband, it's not the same. They don't say, oh, that's normal. That happens with age. No, that's not normal.
I was lucky enough to actually be part of a breast cancer community a little bit after I started chemo. Thank God, because we actually created a group within this organization called TV Thursdays that we had a bunch of women there and we brought in different people to talk about sex and intimacy. We had discussions about it.
I'm jealous.
It was like mind blowing. And I'm glad you're saying that now because I have talked to another friend who actually created this. Her name's Stacy. She's my soul sister. And we've talked about like what other things are there? I think now in this day and age, other survivors are doing it. But like you said, it would be really nice to group in the medical profession with this as well because you are blindsided by it. And whether you are a single person or a married person, and I went through it both ways, there is a lot that comes along with it. For me, especially with breast cancer, like if you have your breast removed, that's one thing. But then there's a lot of things that occur with your medications that make you have vaginal dryness and all these different things too. Your sex drive goes down, not for everyone. Some women end up having to get full hysterectomies and removing everything. I'm in a forced menopause at this point at 40 years old because of the meds. Yeah. And that shit you're just supposed to like live with. So it's funny when people are like, oh, but you look great and you're good and everything's fine. It's like, yeah, but my vagina's like the Sahara Desert and I don't want to bang my husband anymore. And I have really liked doing that for years. And then bam, all of a sudden it stops. And we haven't been married that. It's not like because I don't want to. It's like my body isn't doing what I usually want to do. It's just another way that your body isn't your body anymore.
Thank you. And that was the other weird part is you're poked, you're prodded, you've got needles. I used to not like needles. It doesn't even faze me. I'm like, all right, this arm has better veins. What do you want to do? Like, it's just everything is so invasive. And then if you have female issues on top of it. You're getting poked and prodded that way too. And that's incredibly uncomfortable. And my gynecologist is the one that helped me get to the diagnosis. But one of the medical assistants in her office at one point finally ended up saying, "You've been in here so much. I think it's probably BV, but we just like, at this point, we don't know." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Let's just blanket it with BV.
I mean, and it wasn't. I'm like, okay, well, way to gaslight me. I can't tell you how many times I was on boric acid and it did nothing. So obviously, this is not BV. I ended up finding a lovely woman who she said, and I quote in my first appointment with her, she looks inside and she goes, "Oh my God, honey, I have not seen this even in severely menopausal women. You must be in so much pain." And I broke down crying in her office because I was validated. For the first time, someone's like, "I see that you're in pain. I see that this sucks." So I get my clothes back on and she goes, "Listen, I'm going to get you back to having monkey sex in no time. You are going to send me a postcard. I promise you." And I was like, okay, like at least I'm not crying. Now I'm laughing. This happened, not even lying to you, about a month ago. We roll over post coitus and I'm like, I'm going to send her a postcard about the monkey sex because it's back. We're back, bitches.
I think she needs a basket, like a fucking, like a fruit. What's the fruit ones? The ones you eat?
The edible arrangements.
Get her one of those. Get her. She deserves that. Chocolate covered shit. Pineapple.
Exactly.
Pineapple. Wow.
Absolutely.
But that's fucking tragic. It took how
It
you,
is.
you said you were diagnosed when? 23?
23. And it was like 2 years of thinking my sex life was never coming back.
Ugh, that's so sad. It makes me so sad with cancer, with weight gain in general. We're talking all of that, side effects, medications that you have to take, like you said, different things that are occurring within your own body you have no control over. And even if you want to be sexy and sexual and intimate, that level of like what makes you sexy, it just like goes out the fucking window, basically. And
It does.
once you're done fighting cancer, you then have to find yourself as a woman again.
You do. I'm so thankful that you said that.
Well, I've lived it. I can see it on most women. You can be the most beautiful woman, which you are. You are a beautiful woman, but it doesn't matter how beautiful you are on the outside because internally you have so much going on. And you, on top of, again, just like the normal wear and tear of cancer, the normal mental mindfuck that it gives you, having to re-find yourself as a sexual being, as a woman, it's a lot. And I'm glad someone finally listened to you, but I want to give you a shit ton of credit for advocating for yourself because so many people would have just taken that and been like, okay, I guess that's all I have. That's what life's going to be like. And you were like, fuck that noise. I'm not doing that.
Well, I mean, I have to be completely honest. Cancer taught me a lot about advocating for myself and learning that if you feel like something's off, you have to keep pushing. But I kept going to the specialist because I wanted to get rid of the UTIs. And the sex part ended up being a happy byproduct of that. But I was advocating just to get out of the UTIs. And I had almost resigned myself to the point of thinking we're never going to be able to have normal sex again. This is going to hurt forever. My intimacy with my husband is forever changed. And it was a stressor too, because I'm like, is he going to want me if this is always miserable for me? If every time we're together, I have to like struggle through it. Like, that's really sexy. Let's get on board with that. Guys love that, right? No.
I mean, I really didn't think it would bother me not to have nipples until I didn't have nipples because I had seen it and I was like, oh, you know, these women are so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Then I married, fast forward, and I don't have nipples. And it wasn't that he cared. I cared that I thought he cared. In my head,
Isn't
I
that weird?
It's fucking weird. Like, yes. But I have a question. Let me just ask this for the medical world out there. If a man or men couldn't have sex and they were being bothered and affected and they were having erectile dysfunction because of cancer and all of that, do you think they would do something about it? Because I do. I think that they would
have done something about it 20 years ago.
Exactly. So all we need to do after having cancer is just grow some dicks and then it will be great. I'm just kidding. Actually, that's not something I got into with last week's Survivor Jim, but you know, he had colorectal cancer. I'm sure having a fucking ileostomy bag is not ideal with intimacy. So I'm sure they face their own struggles with it. I'm sure they do. I just think as women, sometimes men can be more direct. It's more in their nature. And for women, it feels like we're pestering or bothering if we're complaining, quote unquote, about something when you're really just advocating for yourself.
It's that. And there's this disconnect between female patients and male physicians. I don't think it happens on purpose. My oncologist is a lovely man. I just don't think he was prepared to have a conversation about sex with me without my husband in the room. And I can't say that I blame him 100%, but if that's the case, say like, hey, we have a resource for that. I'm going to bring in Susie over there and she's going to sit down and talk to you about your sex life and how it can be better. Like anything,
Right.
anything.
Not like vaginas. Nope. Gotta go now.
Nope.
Bye.
I deal with lymphoma, not vaginas.
That's it. Only cancer here. No, and I'm lucky I haven't had that experience with my oncologist because she's female, number one, but she treats me. It's a very cool thing to have her head to toe. If I have any issues that are unrelated to cancer, she'll still talk to me about it, but I get it. And I know that they're doing the best they can most of the time.
Yeah.
And they're overwhelmed because I've never been into an oncology office that isn't jam-packed with a chemo room full of people. So
there's like a waiting. It's like waiting for a chair to get your chemo. It's crazy.
Yeah. And question, I didn't ask you this because you're younger. Did you get the weird looks when you went into the chemo room as a young person?
All the time. All the time. And there were times that I would go in for, if it was just a chemo day and I didn't have immunotherapy, which takes longer because they titrate it through your system. If you're not in the cancer pro world, immunotherapy has to be given to you at a much slower rate. And then you can work up to getting it faster, but it's still not as fast as some chemos. Some chemo takes longer. My chemo was real quick. I didn't have a big bag, but I got weird looks because I'd come in dressed for work. I still have my hair. I maybe looked like a tired version of myself, but I still looked like me for the most part. And I was also one of the younger people in there. I'll be 45 in July. I think I look a little bit younger than my age. I always have. And if you don't agree with me, just play into it.
Shut up.
And we'll
Shut up. I think you look mid-30s because so do I.
I'll take it.
We look mid-30s. We really do.
I mean, yes, I would have said early 30s for you.
Well, you haven't been at the bar lately where there's 21-year-olds that look like they're 5. So
yeah, you're right.
Okay. When I stand next to them and I'm like, I'm your mother, go home. Like, where are your parents? Why are you out?
Are you about to be out this late?
What the fuck is going on? No, all things considered, I do think that you look young, and anyone else that is on here, I will make sure that they write in the reviews that you're hot and young. I think that, again, if we're going to have people that are younger and younger being diagnosed, we need to address the issues that come along with being a younger person that has cancer, and sex health is a huge part of it.
We have so many younger women getting diagnosed with cancer, and so part of me wanting to talk about stuff like this is, hey, girl, you're not alone. There are answers out there. There are resources. And if your oncologist doesn't know, your oncologist can likely get you a referral to someone who will, or someone will have another referral to someone who will. And it doesn't always happen right away. I think there's this misconception that if you get a referral to one person, that's the person with the answers. It's not always the case. I see you nodding, so I'm guessing that there have been times where you've had to go through multiple steps to get to the person with the answers.
It's not a one-stop shop. I just had to do that recently. I actually have to go get a scan soon because I found something I didn't like. My doctor's like, it's probably nothing. Fuck. Bum, bum, bum. I'll know hopefully by next week or two. But I called a place to get a scan and they didn't know anything about my history. I started explaining what procedures I've had done. Again, they see all types of people, but like bare minimum information about a double mastectomy. And they're still asking me about breast tissue. And I'm like, okay, I just need you to do what the order says. And they're like, well, no, you're going to need a mammogram first. And then the person actually tells me, well, you should probably just go back to the place that you went last time, which was over 2 years ago. And I had completely different breasts because I had implants before. And now I've had a deep flap and I've had re-diagnosis. So I'm like, you're actually telling me go somewhere else, or we can get you in end of August. And I'm like, I've had cancer 3 times. I'm good. I'm going to go somewhere else. I've advocated for myself. I worked for a nonprofit where I advocated for other women, which is so much easier for me. I love advocating for other people.
It's a lot easier than advocating for yourself.
Yes. But I also got defeated. That day pissed me off. It frustrated me. I wanted to cry. Getting off the phone. That doesn't go away. I hate that I have to fight all of the time. And guess what? When I go get the scans, I'm going to have to fight with my insurance company because they're going to want me to get a mammogram because they want to require that before you get a ultrasound nowadays with breast cancers. I already see it in front of me. My wheels are turning and I've lived through it. And it's just frustrating. I already have to fight. I've already had to physically fight for my life. Most survivors have. And now you're wanting me to also just fight in general for people to just do their job. Like, it's a
Well,
hard thing.
it's people don't understand. And the other thing that has become glaringly obvious, and that is a huge problem. I am so thankful for my insurance. My insurance covered my treatment. And, the hoops I have had to jump through to get the diagnostics that I need, where there's like, oh, okay, in order to get this test, you have to do this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, really? Like if I meet certain criteria and I have certain symptoms, why can't we just eliminate all of those things? You'd rather pay money for all of those things and charge the system money for all of those things to get me to here when I could just have started here and cut out all the bullshit.
It's sad to say, but I've even had doctors that know the system, so they know how to do it appropriately with the codes. That's kind of how it works now. It's all still about money, which is frustrating because at the end of the day, we are people. Like, I'm a person with this that needs help. I still owe the hospital $94,000 for the implants they removed because I had cancer and the implants caused cancer and I needed them removed to do the other surgery. So that's what they're, yeah. So I'm fighting for that too. But this isn't about me and my implants or the money that I owe that I'm not going to pay. By the way, I do not condone that. Pay your bills. You can pay them $5 a month and it'll be fine. It won't go to a collection agency. But we got way off topic. Sort of, but not really. Let's get back to you. So you do your 6 months of chemo.
Yes.
You obviously, like you said, you've had a lot of things that have still come from this. It's not just like, oh, I'm done with chemo and then cancer is over.
No.
What is your life looking like at this point?
They're real weird about that word remission. Am I in remission? Technically, yes. I have undetectable levels of cancer in my body. My cancer is a cancer that I will always be screened for. It is not something that is curable. It is treatable. So the chances of me going through treatment again and having this come back again are real. And the cancer I have is one of the good cancers. Oh, at least you got a good cancer.
What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I believe what people mean to say, if I could edit for them, is your cancer is very well researched, and so they have a good idea of what to do to treat it. That said, it is not something that you should say to a cancer patient. And while it is a good cancer, it is also a cancer that is deadly. And if left untreated or if treatment doesn't work for you, it can kill you. I was very fortunate and my body responded very well to treatment. The gentleman that I mentioned earlier that I knew, I'd been out of touch with him for a really long time. And I got back in touch with him when I got my diagnosis. I didn't know that we had the same type, but I reached out and I said, hey, I know you've been going through some stuff. I'm going to tell you something I haven't told a lot of people, but I just got my own diagnosis. And I told him what it was. And he's like, that is exactly what I have. And when he got diagnosed with stage 3, I think. And when it came back as stage 4, and he lost his battle. It was weird because as I was hitting milestones and seeing my cancer shrink and my lymph nodes shrink, he was going the opposite direction. And this really weird thing happens when you're going through cancer, where you think that you're going to hit these milestones and you're going to feel really good about them, but you're watching other people you know that are losing their battle. And you get to the point where you almost want to hide the good from the people who aren't getting that. And then when he passed, I remember feeling so guilty. And feeling like, I don't have kids. Why couldn't it have been me? Like, why wasn't it me? He had children. He didn't get to see them walk down the aisle, and he didn't get to see them, some of them graduate high school. And here I am, childless. It would have been better for it to be me. Why am I here? And I don't think that it's an uncommon feeling, but I also don't think it's a thing a lot of people talk about. There are moments where, especially if you're in any sort of a cancer community, where when you're experiencing these like should be positive milestones, you're watching somebody on the exact opposite end of the spectrum. And when it came time for me to ring the bell, I almost didn't do it. I didn't know if I was like, is this bad luck? Is this bad juju? Should I get up there and proclaim that I'm cancer free when this is likely a battle I'm going to fight forever? Ultimately, I did it, but not without a battle. And I rang it because there are people that will never get to. And I rang it because even if I get down the road and it's not a battle that I ultimately win, in that moment, it was a win. And I will not take my life for granted. I'm not going to be one of those girls that bulks at their birthday and is like, oh, I'm another year older. Like, no, that's a fucking privilege.
I am so there with you on the birthday thing. And you are right. I don't think a lot of people talk about the survivor's guilt that comes with it. It's not something that I've personally struggled with a lot. I've seen it happen with a lot of people, but I think it's because I know how indiscriminate cancer is. I was a kid when
Yeah,
I got it. So for me, it's always been indiscriminate, but it's super fucked, period.
100%.
It's fucked up. And there's no rhyme or reason as to why children get diagnosed with cancer. There's no rhyme or reason why you got diagnosed or I got diagnosed. There's nothing that we did to deserve it. And I know people even go, am I being punished? Is God punishing me? Did I do something wrong in life? But the reality is, cancer, out of everything, it's indiscriminate and it happens to all types of people, good and bad. It happens to young and old. It happens to people that are in their middle age or even early adulthood. You got me teary-eyed when you started talking about the bell because I understand that. But you weren't ringing it just for you. You were ringing it for all of the others. And that is how I truly live my life at this point, is that
Me too.
I do shit every day that I'm afraid to do. I try to live my life to the fullest because I have people that I have lost to the same cancer. And I fucking refuse to not live it in their honor. I do it every day.
I agree. It's a privilege. Youth is wasted on the young is a saying I didn't get until I had a couple years. But one of the things I've learned through cancer and through reaching what should be middle age is that every day is borrowed. It's a gift. We're living on borrowed time. You don't know. I don't know that if I leave the house in the morning, I'm not going to get in a car wreck and never come home. I don't know that if I go to sleep tonight, I'm not going to have a stroke and not wake up tomorrow. So I'm not going to go to bed without telling the people I love that I love them. And if I think of a friend now, I pick up the phone and I text them immediately. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. If there's something that's not serving me in my life, I'm not going to wait for that for tomorrow either. I'm going to cut that shit out. It's not worth it.
I'm like that too. It's funny because in some ways I feel like I'm so much kinder and I'm so much more giving. I want to help people and make a dent on the world in my little circle. Even with this podcast, that's what it is for me. It's the ability to use my story to help other people, but also give people like you a platform and all the people that I talk to be able to say, hey, there's fucking hope out there. You can make it through the hardest shit. But there's also this part of me that is very fucking cutthroat, friends, family, whatever, where I'm like, I have fucking done everything I can to be alive, and I'm not
Yeah,
going to waste any more time or energy on the things or the people that aren't loving, kind, and supportive to me. And
I
it's not
agree.
even an angry thing. I'm not even angry. I just don't want to waste my energy and time. Because guess what? The other thing that cancer has taught me is how much support and love I do have. I have so many good
Yes.
people in my life, especially my children, my husband, my best friends. Like, I'm so blessed. Hashtag with cancer. But we or asterisk cancer, whatever. And I do the same. I think you and I are very similar in that I think that most people should live their lives with or without cancer in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that you can learn a lot from somebody who's been through the journey, that you don't have to go through it yourself to
No.
learn from some of the things that we've learned, including that life is short. And it doesn't have to be some saying that you read on a fucking wall. Like, it's legitimate. This is real. Like, it's short. Don't be mad you're turning another year older. It's fucking beautiful. Don't
No.
be mad
It
that
is.
you have a gray hair. It's amazing. You're lucky to see that. And the people that I see that pass from this disease, cancer, but specifically breast cancer, to me, it's a mirror. And I see that could potentially be my life one day. And
Yeah.
I just think, okay, so what can I do in honor of that person? And obviously it's tragic as fuck. The thing that really hurts, like you said, is the kid thing. When I think about people's families missing them and the hole that is left that will never be filled, that's a fucking hard pill
It
to
is.
swallow. And as a mom, it really fucks with me because I know that that would be what my kids would have to go through. But I don't live there, and I know all of the people that I have lost to cancer would want me to not. They would want me to be
Yeah.
like, hey, bitch, get up, be happy. You can cry and be
Yeah.
sad, but like, go
Go
live
hug
your
those
best.
babies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through cancer, I learned that like feel your feelings. You can go there, just don't unpack your bags. The second you unpack your bags there, that's where it
Vacation.
becomes a
You're
problem.
vacationing. You're just
Yeah,
going for a
exactly.
day,
Just gonna
not
have a little
cute
vacation
clothes.
in my pity party.
Right. No, I was a VIP bitch, party of one. That was wearing my fucking sweatpants and all that jazz, but looking
Oh,
like
I
a
didn't want to be
testicle.
looked at. I just like
No.
I think that my cancer uniform of my husband's long sleeve Henley and my leggings was like a do not look at me. This is not for you to look at.
Yeah, no, I did the same exact thing. Man, it's crazy though, because again, different cancers, some different experiences, but ultimately, I think that you and I kind of have a similar outlook on life
Yeah,
and
I
and the
agree.
journey. And so it's been really cool just to talk to you in general. So
I agree. I've had fun.
yeah, you already said that Cancer is not something that you're ever going to live without. It's never going anywhere. It's something that you choose to probably put to the back of your head, right? And go forward anyway, because again, time is dwindling, as we know. But where are you at now? What have you decided to do with this journey? What good has come out of it?
So much. I'm working on a lot right now, and I have big ideas that I will hopefully come to fruition in the next year. But I have a background in radio. I love to speak. I would really love to speak to cancer groups, do things like this, be on podcasts. I started a blog in December, and it was meant to be like a cathartic thing for me. And it's not like I have a ton of subscribers. I'm on Substack and I share stuff. What has resonated for people that even aren't in a cancer journey has been really interesting. It's not just cancer. It's kind of become about life, because one thing that I have realized through surviving cancer is that we all survive something. It might just be that you survived fucking Tuesday, but we're all surviving something. And I don't want anyone to feel alone, because there were moments I had a ton of support, but you still fight the fight alone. And there were moments where Patrick would be at the gym, and it would be the 2 days after chemo where it really started to hit me. And I'd be like laying in bed alone, and just the sheets were touching me, and I felt uncomfortable, and I hadn't eaten enough, and I felt like I was dizzy, but I also couldn't eat. And if somebody shoved another Ensure in my face, I was going to punch them, because Ensure is disgusting. It's just nothing that could have brought me happiness in that moment, and no one that could have understood, or so I thought. And I think having a sense of, again, being cheesy, community around anything, like surviving as a woman, we all need to be there for each other. And that's the thing that I will not suffer a mean bitch. Get out of my face with that. We're all in this together. And if you're going to be a bully, if you're going to pick on people, you are not in my group.
Kick rocks. I don't do that. I don't do mean girl shit at all. And I also am not going to explain to you why you're not in my fucking group anymore. If you aren't self-aware enough to see that you're a heinous bitch, that's not my problem. I'm sorry.
Exactly. You take your lack of awareness and
somewhere else. People are mean sometimes. Shit happens, but I don't do that mean girl thing. I don't do that jealous thing. Life's too short. I want to build women up. I want to help women. Your whole vibe is great. We need to keep in touch. Even some things that you brought up, I think that you and I and a couple other of my cancer girls, my cancer friends, we should have some conversations and get together and brainstorm and see how we can help the community. And you're right. Same with my podcast. It initially just started with my journey, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think comparison is the thief of joy, but I think it's also the thief of validation, because if people are comparing to your cancer, like I said, it's a trump card. Your hardest can be your hardest. It does not have to be cancer. And like you said, everybody fights a different battle.
Every battle.
It matters. And your hardest is your fucking hardest. I'm grateful that you have a blog. What's it called, babe? So we can plug it.
So if you go on Substack, it's called The Survivor's Edit. And I'm really glad I didn't make it cancer themed, because it's evolved very quickly into not super cancery. I do talk about my cancer, but I also just really talk about the human experience and what that means. In another life, I had a first husband, and we had miscarriages, and we had issues with, like we talked about, there's a practice run that helps to make you a better wife when you meet your real man.
Or two, depending on who you are and how bad your judgment is.
There can be a long runway to get to happiness.
To a Patrick. To a Patrick or a Drew. I love my husband too.
There you go. Patricks and Drews are the best.
They're fantastic.
But yeah, it's The Survivor's Edit, and it's on Substack, and I would love for y'all to come along. And, I will tell you, I have used the cancer card, but I've always used it for good. The only time I really used it against my husband was to get a puppy, but I did get a puppy, and she's adorable.
# worth it. Use your cancer to get whatever you can. I am a big proponent of using your cancer card. You deserve it. You've earned it, and you should be able to use it whenever you want. I will put your blog on my blog so that people can get the link. I will also put some cute little pictures of you and your sweet puppies, because you have some really, really fucking cute, adorable puppies. And I'll write a little bit about you. But also, Weslea, if you have any resources specific to lymphoma, but also if you have any for women's health, or if you've read books or done any research that you find helpful, please feel free to send them my way. That way I can put them on there. But I always want people to know that there is help. There are resources out there. And who knows, maybe one day we can create a resource too, like, hey, shit not to say to your cancer friends, or let's talk about sex and your dry vagina. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Sahara, but she's back. Well, she was. For a long time, she was dry.
I just meant vaginas in general.
But, I will say, there's this one doctor, I think it's Mary Claire Haver, and she's a menopause physician. And I believe her podcast is unpaused. It made me feel like there were other people going through the I'm young for the menopause thing. You're young for the menopause thing. So a lot of our friends, they don't have menopause resources, and she is amazing.
Perfect. Send me her name too, because I'll forget
I
it
will.
because chemo brain. And then I will put that on my blog as well so people can look at her podcast. All right, boo. Well, is there anything else you feel like you need to say, or do you feel like you're good?
No, I love you. You're a bad bitch, and I'm excited to meet you in person.
We're bad bitches. I can't wait. Lunch soon. Oh, I'll do my plug now, I guess. So if you want to check out my blog or episodes or my merchandise because you need a fucking shirt that says Plot Twist Still Alive, you know you do. It's www.plottwiststillalive.com. I forgot about that part. If you want to write us an email, it's plottwiststillalive@gmail.com. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Watch our episodes. We finally have video. So if you're still fucking listening to Apple, you can go over to Spotify or YouTube at any time and see our beautiful faces. Otherwise, you're not going to know how hot Weslea is. That's her stripper name, by the way. So let's end this shit the right way. We're going to do a high five. Ready? Psst, still alive. All right, Weslea, do your evil laugh. That was good. You got it.
I'm so evil.
Ring this bell 3 times well. It's toll to gradually say, my treatment's done, the course is run, I'm on my way.
Plot twist. Still alive.